Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. I shouldn't have said it. The words slipped out between laughter and whine, a careless jab meant to entertain. But the moment it left my lips, the air shifted, sharp, heavy, unbreathable. I mean, with how much time Daniel spends at the office, maybe he's got a whole other wife there. The table erupted in laughter. The clinking of glasses, the glow of the restaurant's soft amber lights, the hum of chatter, it all blurred. I was performing as I often did, playing the charming, witty wife who could make light of anything. But Daniel wasn't laughing. He set down his glass of red wine so carefully that not a drop spilled. His eyes lifted, dark and steady, catching mine. "Well," he said softly, his voice calm but razor-edged. "At least she listens to me." The laughter around us froze. My heart dropped, pulse pounding so loud I could hear it over the clatter of silverware. "Daniel," I began, forcing a shaky smile. "You're joking, right?" He didn't answer. He just took another sip, eyes fixed on me, his expression unreadable. The rest of the dinner dragged like a funeral. My friends shifted uncomfortably, their laughter replaced by whispers. I excused myself early, muttering something about feeling lightheaded. Daniel stayed behind. Outside, the cool night air hit my skin like punishment. My hands trembled as I lit a cigarette I didn't even want. I hadn't smoked in years. When Daniel finally came out, the crowd had thinned. He walked toward me slowly, his suit jacket draped over one arm, his tie loosened. I could see the outline of tension in his jaw. "You went too far," I said before he could speak. "That was cruel." His eyes flashed, but his voice stayed even. "Cruel? You humiliated me in front of everyone. You made me a punchline. It was a joke." "Yeah, so was what I said." The words landed like a slap. For a second I couldn't breathe. What does that mean? He didn't answer right away. The silence stretched between us, thick and heavy. A car honked in the distance. Someone laughed drunkenly down the street. Finally he said, "You really want to know?" "Yes." He exhaled, looking almost tired. "You keep accusing me of being distant. You've been making those jokes for months. Maybe you were hoping I'd admit something. Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted." My stomach turned. "Daniel, what are you saying?" He looked away, eyes glinting in the streetlight. "There's someone. It happened once. A mistake. A night I wish I could erase." The ground seemed to tilt under me. My voice cracked. "Who?" He didn't answer. That silence, God, that silence was worse than any confession. I took a step back, shaking my head. "You're lying. You're just saying that to get back at me." He looked at me, and the truth was in his eyes. I wish I were. A cold wind swept between us, carrying the faint sound of music from the restaurant. The world kept moving, but mine had just stopped. I turned and started walking. He called after me, but I couldn't hear him anymore. My mind was a blur of noise, memories, doubts, all the little things I'd ignored. The late nights. The changed passwords. The scent of a perfume that wasn't mine on his coat last winter. I'd laughed it off then. I'd told myself not to be paranoid. That's what trust was, right? Giving someone the benefit of the doubt even when something inside you screamed not to. When I reached our apartment, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the city lights bleeding through the curtains. My chest ached like I'd swallowed something sharp. Hours passed. Daniel didn't come home. By morning, his side of the bed was cold. I found his phone on the kitchen counter. I shouldn't have touched it, but I did. My hands moved on their own, trembling as I unlocked it. There were no messages, no photos, nothing suspicious. He deleted everything. Except one thing. A recent call log with a single repeated name. Claire. Claire. His new project manager. The one he'd mentioned over dinner a few weeks ago. Praising her creativity, her work ethic, her fresh perspective. I scrolled through his email, my vision blurring, until I found one unsent draft, hidden in the outbox. "You said it was wrong, and maybe it was. But it didn't feel wrong when you held me. I don't know how to stop thinking about you." My knees buckled. I sank to the floor, the phone clattering beside me. All the little moments clicked into place. The emotional distance, the fake smiles, the way he'd looked at me last night after my joke. He hadn't been angry. He'd been exposed. When Daniel finally came home that evening, I was still sitting in the living room, the phone beside me like evidence in a trial. He froze when he saw my face. You went through my phone. You left it here, I said, my voice hollow. Almost like you wanted me to. He rubbed a hand over his face, sighing. It was a mistake, Emma. I ended it months ago. Then why did you keep her number? He didn't answer. That was his answer. The silence between us stretched again, but this time it wasn't filled with tension, it was filled with finality. Something had broken that could never be put back together. I wanted to scream, to throw things, to make him feel the pain tearing through my chest. But I didn't. Instead I whispered, "Do you love her?" His eyes dropped. "I don't know." That was worse than a yes. I stood, my voice trembling. "Then you don't love me." He opened his mouth to speak, but I held up a hand. "Don't. Please. You said enough last night." I walked past him, grabbing my coat. The smell of his cologne lingered in the air, taunting me with memories of who we used to be. When I reached the door, he said quietly, "Emma, I never meant to hurt you." I turned, my eyes wet but steady. "You didn't mean to get caught, Daniel. That's all." Then I left. The night air was cold again, the same street where it all started. But this time there was no laughter, no performance. Just me. Alone with the sound of my own breaking heart. As I walked away, I thought about that moment at dinner. The way his words cut through me in front of everyone. I thought it was revenge, but now I realized it was something else. It was the truth hiding in plain sight. And I was the one who gave him permission to say it.